AC Lockyer, and this, again, is Building a Lifestyle Business, presented by Softwash Systems. And this week, we've got one of our bearded wonders on here. Those of you guys who are just listening to the podcast, we're like, I can't see anything. But those of you guys who are watching us on YouTube, you'll be able to see we got Jeremiah Gibson on here. And so we've got kind of a beard culture going at Softwash Systems. It makes me, I don't know, I don't think I'll ever grow a beard. I'm just not a beard guy. But Jeremiah Gibson, you are in what city again?
Salina, Kansas.
That's what I thought. Salina, Kansas. And the name of your company is Advantage Softwash?
Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And so you've been with us how many years?
We became a certified company in 2020, just before the pandemic hit.
You were at that March Discover Softwash. Yep, right before the pandemic, and the world went crazy after that. Yeah, and so you've got I'm going to really enjoy this podcast because you've had kind of an awakening here the last year, and we'll get some cool stuff on here. But before we get into the gravy on that, why don't you tell us who you are, wife, married, kids, the whole story, dogs, cats, birds, what you like to do, all that kind of stuff. And just go ahead and lead off with that so people can get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. My wife, Elizabeth, and I, we got married in May of 2000.
Mm-hmm.
So we just celebrated 24 years, and we have two boys, 14, Ezra, and 11-year-old Josiah.
Okay.
And both the boys are growing like weeds, eat more food than I can even look at.
Yeah.
And they're doing well. We have a dog of 11 years old. He's a Labradoodle. His name's Abraham. And he's a great dog. We love him. He's getting old, but he's a good dog. And our youngest son, he loves animals. So he has fish, and he just got a crested gecko.
Oh,
so
really?
That is
very cool.
He's and he made the whole, I can't even remember what it's called, with the big tall glass enclosure, and it's, isopods and all this stuff in there.
Yeah. And
he put all that together himself. Of course I paid for it, but he put it together. But yeah, so that's our family. And I like to golf. I haven't had much time for it, but that is the one sport that my kids couldn't argue about.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made sure that they took golf lessons and they'd learn to play. And it's nice because, 7 to 77, 87, you can still go out and hit the ball.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
yeah.
My oldest son, we just got him a forge, and he has been into swords and knives and wanting to get into blacksmithing.
So is he watching the new Forged by Fire channel?
Oh, he's watched every episode 100 times probably. Oh, he's into them all. Yeah. Oh, big time. And he so he's into
does he walk
knives.
around the house and go, "This blade will kill"?
Well, he almost cut off his finger here about a month ago, so he knows.
Well, there you go. Hey,
yeah, but that's pretty much my family unit right now. We're doing pretty good. So
cool. And so so it's really interesting. So one of the questions I normally ask people, and I want you to talk about this because not people always talk about their personal beliefs or religion in this. But I've noticed a common thread with people when I ask them, why did you decide to start your own business, become an entrepreneur, do your own thing? And I notice a common thread, especially with people who are Jehovah's Witnesses. And I think you're a Jehovah's Witness, correct? Yep.
Yes.
A lot of entrepreneurs. You guys are like a freaking entrepreneurial machine, spitting out entrepreneurs. Why is that? Explain that a little bit.
That's a good question. I'll be honest with you. The biggest thing is just control of your schedule. I mean, that's really what it is. And because I've been around so many people that own carpet cleaning businesses, owned janitorial businesses, house cleaning businesses, it's just kind of a normal thing to look at. And back in the day, I'd say 30 years ago, nobody really wanted to clean toilets.
Right.
There weren't a whole lot of carpet cleaning companies, house cleaning companies. So a lot of people who are Jehovah's Witnesses chose those lines of work because they paid well. You control your own schedule, and then they can choose how they use their time and their volunteer service. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Now, I'm not Jehovah's Witness, but I can appreciate it. My background is Church of Christ, not Church of Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm not a Mormon, but I'm Church of Christ, Alexander Campbell, the Reformation movement, and all that kind of stuff. And so when I was coming up and decided to become an entrepreneur, part of the reason was I also wanted to control my schedule because, we're kind of similar. Every time the church door is open, we're there. And so that's Sunday mornings, that's Sunday night, that's Wednesday nights, that's care group once a week, we put our kids in private school, Christian schools over the years, and you want to be able to go to all the activities. And, if there's a mission trip, you want to be able to take off and go on a mission trip. I know the Jehovah's Witnesses, you guys actually go and take some time off and go work on y'all's national headquarters and stuff like that. It's really important for people of faith to have control of their schedule so that they can have the freedom to worship and the freedom to participate in ministries and the freedom to spend the extra time with the family. So delve into that a little more, because I think it's a different mindset because it is kind of countercultural,
Yeah. Oh, I agree. It really is, because we're raised in a society of working, I'd say 8 to 5, but in reality, people are working much longer hours than that, right? And so, for myself, I did work the 8 to 5 or the 6 to 6 job, and it wasn't working for me because it was getting in the way of the other things I wanted to do. I wanted to volunteer more, like you mentioned, volunteering to go work at like our world headquarters in New York.
Yes.
I had the privilege of doing that twice. I went up and spent a couple weeks up there and volunteered when they were building up in Warwick, New York. Awesome experience. It was great. But why was I able to do that? Because I had control of my schedule.
Right.
And so even locally, I volunteer. I have for, about 20 years, close to it. I volunteer to go into the correctional facility that's about 45 minutes away. And so to go in there and visit with people and help them to understand the Bible, to help them literally see people change from a violent individual who's getting put in the hole to completely changing their mindset. It is a privilege I wouldn't have if I didn't have control of my schedule. So I agree. It is counter-cultural because we're taught you go to work, you work your butt off until you're, 67, and then you can spend a few years retired before you die. And that's just not how I wanted to live.
Yeah. I'm going to have some fun with this conversation because you're the type of guy I can play off of on this kind of stuff. And we've actually gotten pretty close here the last several months and everything. And so, it is really important to be able to have that time off and everything else. But something else I've noticed is because of the servant mindset of Christians, a lot of them enter the service business and understand the service business. And then even too, because of the mindset of excellence, like we all know we're saved by grace, not by works. Okay. But we also know that the grace without works doesn't make sense, because you have to show Jehovah, in your case, that you appreciate the gift of salvation and everything else that you've gotten. And that, although you can't
works without faith is dead, right?
Is dead.
And they go together.
And so Christians, and the different groups of Christianity that are out there seem to be, there's also some outliers in that group, but seem to be hard workers, focused on excellence, and wired up to serve people. Do you see the same thing, or am I just reading into it too much?
No, I agree with you. I mean, one of the things that you've said many times is the greatest business book is the Bible. And
Right.
the only thing I'd add to that, the greatest book is the Bible, period. Right? Because it teaches you how to respect people. It teaches you how to be honest. It teaches you how, everyone's taught even in school, love your neighbor as yourself.
Right.
But you're not really taught in school how that applies.
Right.
But if you apply the scriptures in your life, you learn what that means. That means treating people the way you want to be treated in every aspect. So if you're thinking about ripping off a customer, you're not going to do that, because first of all, you owe God, your faith, you owe him your trust, you owe him your service, your love. So you're not going to do that for that reason, but you're also not going to do that because that's not fair. That's not nice to treat somebody that way.
Right.
So I do think it kind of all comes together. The only caveat is if you truly apply what you learn. Right. And if you don't apply the Bible to your life, it's not going to matter.
Yeah, so many times, especially in Western culture, people compartmentalize things. They'll say, business is business, family is family, church is church, government's government, and they compartmentalize things. And then sometimes you'll meet Christians, and because they're still thinking in a Western kind of way, they'll say, well, my relationship with God is number one, and then my wife, and then my kids, and then maybe my business, and they do a hierarchy type of thing, which is actually the wrong way to do it. And, we're at our church right now, we're studying Colossians, and the whole book of Colossians is about making Christ the center of your life, and then everything else just revolves around it. So actually, it's supposed to be the center of your life, and everything revolves around it. So business is not business, family is not family, church is not church. It's business, family, church, politics. Everything, is all mixed up in one bowl of goulash. You are who you are. There's no compartmentalizing it. There's no being this person over here and this person over here. And it's a trap that sometimes people get into, and even people of faith can get into, is where do those lines go? And I know one of the things I've always appreciated, because I've known, especially since I've gotten deeper in the cleaning business, it is freaking unbelievable how many Jehovah's Witnesses are in the cleaning business. It's disproportionate, and so I've gotten to know a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses and talk to them and everything else. And how it's, the people that are really in touch understand that there are no lines. There are no lines. Talk about that a little bit.
I agree with you. It's how you choose to live your life. How you treat others can't change. Now, I'm not saying our family doesn't know us more than everybody else, right? I mean, we let our guard down around our family and stuff. And when we're tired and cranky, their family sees it. But that's completely different than coming home and violently throwing your kids around because you're upset, right? So it has to be a way of life. And sadly, I feel like some people use Christianity as a symbol, not a way of life. And to be a follower of Christ is just that. Christ was himself every day, right? He modeled himself after his Father, and he was who he was, and he didn't change for anybody. The Apostle Paul, once he became a Christian, he didn't change. Just because he was making tents one day didn't mean he treated people differently than when he was preaching to them in the synagogue or wherever he was at, marketplace. And so, I agree. It's like it's like everything else in life. We make a decision of who we're going to be and how we're going to act. If people choose to follow the teachings found in the scriptures, they're going to act in a better way than they ever would otherwise. And they're going to treat people better. They're going to live a better life because of it.
Yeah. And so because of these decisions that we're making, that entrepreneurial journey really makes sense for people because they want that ultimate control. So you settle into this choice in your entrepreneurial journey your heritage is you're a window cleaner, correct?
Yeah. Yep. That is correct. And I'll be honest, my heritage is I was never going to be an entrepreneur,
Mm.
ever. I made a decision I would not work for myself.
Mm. Wow.
And my parents, they got into some legal trouble with their business. And I saw how that worked out. And I was like, nope, not going to
Nope,
do it.
not for me.
Not happening. And it's funny. I even had a businessman. He is a friend of the family, and he approached me and he said, "Hey, I understand your family's selling off the equipment. They did like remodeling and exterior stuff like siding and seamless guttering, things like that." And so I had the knowledge. I knew how to bid jobs. I knew how
Right.
to order supplies. I knew how to do it. You know, all this. He said, "Why don't you buy the equipment?" And I'm like, "No way. I don't want to work for myself." And he's like, "Are you crazy? Well, I'll buy it. You work for me." I'm like, "Nah, not interested." So he was not happy.
It's like, I don't want to work for myself. I don't want to work for you. I don't know if I want to work.
Well, I was working. I was working for another company, hanging guttering, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to work for this guy. Anyway, what's funny is I was in the what's considered a volunteer full time minister. So I was pretty active, and my job, I was working out at you've heard of, you know, Tony's Pizza, Red Baron, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So Schwann's factory is here in our hometown. And so most of the pizza that you see in the grocery store is made right here in the middle of Kansas.
Mm.
And so anyway, I was working there, and three days one week, 4 days the next, 12-hour shifts. And my wife and I never saw each other. I got home at 6 a.m. She got up at 8, and I would sleep, wake up, eat, watch some TV, go back to bed, get up, go to work. And that's how it was for 3 days one week, 4 days the next. And then we spent the other, few days of the week together. I just couldn't do it anymore. And I had a friend of mine recommended window cleaning. And I'm like, no. and I knew some people locally that did some in our congregation did some, and I just wasn't interested in hurting anybody. And he says, I think you'd be really good at it. I'm like, nah, I'm out. So about 6 months later, this is when it was in 2001. So 6 months later, I was thinking about it, and I said, you know what? Maybe I should look into getting into window cleaning. And that's kind of what sparked it. And so by December of 2001, I had my first window cleaning job scheduled. And that's kind of what sparked it all. And then by, I think it was May of 2002, I quit my full-time job and decided I was going to do this full-time. Yep.
Wow.
That's kind of how it started.
And so, okay, so you did window cleaning for a number of years. How did you get hooked up with Softwash systems?
Yeah, that's a good question, because the biggest reason I got into window cleaning and took that step was so my wife and I could spend more time together. Okay. And I had guys I worked with at Schwann's that said, "What? I go to work to not see my wife." And all I said to them was, "I'm sorry for you."
Yeah.
I'm sorry your relationship is that bad.
That's right.
And
it's like, my wife is hot and I want to spend time with her,
Pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
Pretty simple. And so we worked together for almost a solid 10 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So about 9 years, by our 10-year anniversary, we were having our first kid. We decided to start a family. So we had bought a house. We have our first child. And I was expecting things to kind of go back to normal, because we worked together. We worked about 60 hours a week. Okay. And now I was working 60, 70 hours a week by myself.
Right.
And it was a little rough. So once I started adding an employee or two, and then, things got a little bit easier. But by the time you fast forward to 2019, I was in a place financially that I never thought I'd be in. and I was behind on some bills. I was behind on my taxes. I hadn't filed for like 2 years. And let me just tell you, never skip filing corporate taxes. It is not a good thing.
No, not a good thing.
You will pay.
Yeah.
You will pay.
I had my accountant make a mistake one time. I got that phone call one time. My accountant, our normal guy, had left the company. They had assigned us to a new guy. That new guy, our normal guy would usually call us about November and tell us to put a little more money in or stop putting money in, tell us where we're kind of at so we could plan out the rest of the year. Our new guy calls us. We call him, hey, how's our taxes and everything else? Oh, I'm going to have them done, everything else. I say, how's it looking? Well, we should know here soon. Calls us, I think 2 days before taxes were due, and says, hey, I got your taxes on. I said, great. I said, yeah, I need you to come by the office and sign them and bring a $30,000 check with you. I'm like,
sure, let me just pull that out.
Check. Oh, yeah, that's how much you owe the government. I'm like, what? I've never owed the government that much. Maximum I ever owe the government is $5,000 by the time I do my withholding and all that kind of stuff. Every year I have to write a $5,000-$6,000 check for taxes at that point. Now it's more, but anyhow. And so I had to call and make a payment arrangement and everything else. I made a payment arrangement. And for whatever reason, even though I had made that payment arrangement, I was making my payments. The IRS thought I wasn't paying it fast enough. And I woke up one day and all of my accounts were frozen. Yeah, so you don't even want to get in a situation where you owe the IRS money because they just decided to change the rules midstream and freeze your accounts. And it was, not a good place to be for sure. So you do not want to skip filing your corporate taxes for 2 years. That will not go very well.
No, it was not. It was not good. And I had nobody to blame but myself, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't blame anybody. And unfortunately, sometimes my personality is, well, that stinks. So just put my head in the sand and pretend it didn't happen. And then it's just worse, right? So fast forward, we're in 2019. I'm friends with Marty Osborne, of ONS. And Marty was pretty excited about getting into Softwash systems. And he's like, hey, I'm going down to pick up my new skid. Why don't you come with me? And I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll come down. And so we ride down together. We trade off driving, and we get down there. And I get down to Softwash systems, and Marty had told them I might be interested in, at the time you were selling, the certified course separately,
right,
and so forth. And you had actually offered it to me at a trade show, and I turned you down because I had no idea what I was turning down. And and so I get down there, and what impressed me the most about Softwash systems is no one tried to sell me anything.
Yeah.
And I almost felt like I was just a fly on the wall, even though Marty introduced me to some people, and they're like, oh, hi, And then I said, at one point I told the person that worked there at the time, I said, I might be interested in buying the certified course. She said, oh, yeah, Marty told me that. Well, I'm going to deal with this right now. We'll talk later.
Yeah.
And she just completely ignored the whole thing. So by the time the end of the day rolls around.
Sounds like Jen.
It was Jen. It was Jen.
Oh, by the way, is working for Whitney again. Did you see that online?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, she's back working with Whitney. So she's putting the old band back together.
Well, they'll probably do well. So
yeah, they will. Yeah.
Yeah, they were great to work with. But so anyway, I had tried so many different things. I'd gone to the huge convention and some other trade shows, and everything is like soft washing is easy. All you have to do is this or that to your pressure washer, blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
and nothing worked. Like
right.
I spent all this money and nothing was working, and I was getting really frustrated. When I soft washed a wood fence, I had to get up there with the tip like so close to get everything off, And then they showed me this video of Pat Clark, this old video, and he was just spraying the fence. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
It's just miraculously coming clean.
It's just like all that funk is disappearing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is crazy. And so that's really what grabbed my attention, was how I was treated so nicely by the staff. And then you came in that day. I met you. We talked a little bit. You were just starting the videos. You showed me on the phone how you were trying to get everything ready to go. We didn't know what the plan was, but you were getting your videos ready for the certified course and everything. And that's kind of what got my toes dipped in the water, was that experience. And so I bought the certified course. In fact, it's right here.
There you go. The old green thumb drives.
I keep it on my desk. And so I went home and I went through that, and I kept calling Marty. I'm like, I can't believe blah, 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 blah. And he's like, yeah, I told you that. I'm like, well, it didn't make sense then, Yeah. And so it wasn't just understanding how to apply, because that's what I thought I wanted, to how to apply chemical, how to clean something. That's not the part of the business.
The technical aspect. Yes.
That's it. That's it. Exactly. And that is what keeps people technicians in their business, is all they focus on is the technical side.
Right.
That's not what's going to run your business.
That's
I didn't grasp it.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And so I think learning what systems, Softwash systems, was offering, that's what got my attention. That's what really helped me to get motivated and to move forward. And so that's why I went to discover Softwash there that next March.
Yep. And so what year was that?
So that was 2020. March of 2020 is when I did the Discover Softwash, and I already had almost everything in line to be a certified company. So it was only a couple weeks later I was officially a certified company.
Have you been looking for an investor-grade home service business opportunity? Softwash Systems is what you've been looking for. Come to Discover Softwash and discover your potential. Learn how we provide you with the equipment, chemicals, education, and support for your soft washing business. For more information about becoming a licensed affiliate, call our Shield support agents at 855-763-8669 or visit our website, www.softwashsystems.com/discover. Join the revolution. Join Softwash Systems.
So I want to fast forward a little bit. We're going to go from 2020 to 2023. How did from 2020 to 2023 go for you as far as soft washing is concerned?
It's almost like two completely different businesses, I'll be honest with you. So in 2020, we have a hot water power washing, trailer for concrete, enclosed. And so I was having to use that in 2020 to rinse my soft wash chemicals, because I scabbed together this pump system, and I just had all the plywood and stuff in the back of my truck, but by the time we get to 23, we've got a wrapped out truck. We're wrapping out another truck. We've got a soft wash system skid, and the work is so much easier to accomplish. But on top of that is I'm learning what I need to improve on to better run a business. I'm applying the back end. It's like the motor of a car. The outside might look great, right? But if your motor's trash, it's not going to really help you. You can't leave the driveway. And that's kind of where I was at. I was just sputtering around, leaking oil everywhere with my business and not understanding what the big problem was. And so Softwash Systems gave me the skill to be that mechanic, to go in there and start changing out the alternator, start changing out the heads, and start really making the differences in the business. And I still got a ways to go. But long and short, the biggest difference is how I view the business as a business, not just a machine to give me money to pay my bills.
Yeah. And so we had the 5-star retreat, the first one back in 2023, and you came to that. And before then, you struggled some with execution On the DISC
Oh, yeah.
assessment, what is your DISC personality style again? I forget exactly what it is.
Well, I just happen to have it right here. I seriously keep it handy.
Yeah.
I am an SCI.
Yeah. So you're an SCI. So an S means that you're very relational, very people oriented, but safety, security, very sensitive and everything. C means that you're calculative and questioning, and you need to know the details and all. And then that you have a little bit of I in there means that you really care about what other people think about you. And so what that creates is an SCI, is that creates somebody that hesitates to move forward.
Oh yeah, 100%. Procrastination is my name.
Yeah, that's so it, you had struggled. You would in out. Not so much you weren't in and out with Softwash systems. It was execution, putting the plan to work, walking out on faith. And Christians can understand this a little bit. Stepping out on faith. When you don't believe something's going to work, you do it anyhow because the Lord said it's going to work out. So you step out in faith. Well, I can't replace the Lord, but AC says it's going to work out, and it's hard to step out on faith because I don't have a resume like Jesus does. But anyhow, so you were kind of in and out, and then you have at the 5-star retreat, you have this awakening,
Oh yeah.
And the last year has gone very differently for you. Tell me about that awakening at the 5-star retreat. Why did that happen, and how it's affected this last 12 months heading into next month, which is the next 5-star retreat?
Yeah. That I still look back at the 5-star retreat and trying to explain it's kind of weird for me to try to explain. It was very emotional for me because I had to step so far out of my comfort zone to even fulfill the assignments we were given at 5-star retreat. And for instance, we were told to start marking stuff on our calendars, and I literally took my marker and went like this, and I stepped back, and I went like this, and I stepped back, and I did this. I am not kidding you.
It's that commitment problem.
It was like 5 times. So Marty's standing next to me. I'm serious. It was like 5 times. Marty turned over. He looked at me. He goes, "Just do it already." and so I did. And once I started to move forward, and once I started to apply what we were being taught, it opened up my eyes to what we were actually being shown, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the hard part for me is some people like a D, they're told something, they stop, they think, oh, yep, boom, done.
Boom, yeah.
I cannot do that. My brain will not. Marty, I question everything. Marty gets irritated with me. I question everything, right? and there's times where it bites me in the butt.
Yeah.
And it has, right? And then there's times where if you act too quickly, it bites you in the butt. So it's kind of a 50-50. But the point is that helped me to appreciate I have to become uncomfortable in order to make this business work. Right. And if I want this business to take care of my family the way I foresee it can, it's only going to be in the uncomfortable state it's going to happen. If you're comfortable all the time, you never get out of the covers, you never get out of bed, you're never going to get anything done, right?
Right.
And it helped me to realize I've got to move forward. So yeah, that was a huge thing for me. And even helped me understand things about my personality, some adjustments I needed to make within myself. And so it was huge. So fast forward, that was July of 23. And we were renting a big storage unit, for an RV. That was our shop. And you can't keep those things clean. You can't keep them uncluttered. You can't keep things organized. It's really hard. And even though I had all these shelves and stuff, it was tough. And the company is really unstable that owned it. And I just said, you know what? It's time for me to move forward. I got to find an office.
Right.
And Marty tried to talk me out of it, which was surprising.
Which was surprising, yeah. Yeah. Because
But
Marty's got a lot of D in him. He kind of, D's do all the time. And so we kind of do all over ourselves. But yeah.
That's right. That's right. So he tried to quote unquote talk some sense into me. And usually, I'd listen. But this time I said, you know what? No, I'm moving forward.
Yeah.
This has to happen. And I looked at it like affording health insurance for my family. It's not a question of if you can, you have to.
Right.
And the 5-star program, when I went through that course, it also helped me to appreciate, this is going to pay for itself. It's going to take work. It's going to take effort, but you have to have a stable environment for your employees and for customers to see that you're a real company. And here I am, I was 23 years in business, and it's like, I don't even have a brick and mortar building. It's ridiculous.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
So that was a huge move for us.
Yeah. And so this last year, what has been some of the growth items? I mean, have you grown in revenues? Has your average ticket grown? Has your closing ratios grown? What has been the metamorphosis? I mean, I know some of these answers. I'm just kind of cueing you to bring some of this up. But I mean, I'm excited because you're one of those people that really came out of their shell this last year and is really doing great in a kind of tough year.
I appreciate it. Thanks, AC. We're not quite where we'd like to be this year. However, our tickets are definitely bigger. Our tickets are, before, if I gave someone a bid that was, just window cleaning, it was $1,200. I had diarrhea. I couldn't handle it. And now I'm just like, we can. Our bronze package is $1,800. Our silver package is $2,500. And it's like I got no problem, breaking it down what people have. But I've just seen that it's helped weed out the tire kickers, and our minimum rate is almost $700 for any type of soft wash. I don't care if it's a deck. I don't care what it is.
Right.
I'm not pulling up with that skid for less than $675.
Yeah, you can't afford to.
No, you really can't. And so I've got people that they'll call up and they'll just hear that. Oh, I'm out. Okay, that saved me the time because that wasn't my target market.
That's right.
I could see the address and know they weren't going to be able to do that. But then you got your anomalies, and you got this older couple in this neighborhood that maybe doesn't take care of itself, but they do. They take care of their house, and we'll go do their house for $700 or $800 or whatever. But I had definitely seen our tickets much higher. I told you about the job we had with the local city and closing in on a $10,000 ticket just to wash all the limestone. I mean, it was pretty awesome. And that never would have happened if we weren't into soft wash systems. And we would have been just window cleaning, just looking at windows and losing all this other work on the table.
Right.
And what I love about it is you still feel good 2 years later driving by. It still looks good.
Yes.
Windows are dirty 2 months later. So it's nice.
Well, I mean, when the windows are dirty 2 months later, you got to clean them again. So you get a little bit of reoccurring revenue. Where you're at in Kansas, soft washing really lasts a long time, which can be a little bit of a down thing. But, because you haven't completely given up on window cleaning, you still do window cleaning.
Sure.
Yeah. But it's much more soft washing now.
Oh, yeah, 100%. In fact, I try to steer customers more towards the soft washing than the window cleaning. And one of the biggest things is, to me, it's the best bang for your buck. You're taking better care of your property than just washing some windows. And soft washing those windows is way better than just the regular old window cleaning method. So it's helped me in my sales because I'm such a firm believer in what it does. I know what it can do. I know what the products can do. I'm convinced of every product that Softwash Systems offers. I am confident it's going to do exactly what I say it's going to do. And the other products out there that we use for other things, I can't do that. Even when they work most of the time, I can't guarantee it. So,
well, thank you for that.
So,
nice. So where are you going with this? I mean, is this just your business? Do you think the kids are going to get into it one day? You're going to keep it for legacy's sake? You're going to sell it? Where are you going to be in 5 to 10 years from now?
Honestly, I have not made that decision yet. I mean, I'll just be honest. I have not made that decision. I would like it to be more of a legacy style business. I would like to maintain the structure and keep it moving. At the same time, if the opportunity came, in 10 years to sell, and that's going to help us in whatever endeavors 10 years from now we want to pursue, I'm good with that too. Like we talked about earlier, the whole point of me starting the business was for our Christian ministry. I would love that to be the final part of my business.
Right.
I would love it to fulfill the final end of the years versus, not. So, but I don't have a solid answer, unfortunately, for you. But that's kind of where I'm at. The kids, I already got my 14-year-old working for me. He comes in, works, about once or twice a week, and just try to teach him how to work with people, how to talk to customers. But his pursuits and his personality are so different. I don't see him taking over. I don't see it.
Have you disc test your kids yet?
I have not. They
make a version of it for, well, your 14-year-old, you probably have them take the regular disc test, but they make a version of it for kids too. It'd be interesting to disc test your kids so that because as parents, we project ourselves onto our kids some. And if we knew how our kids were wired up ahead of time, maybe we might not do that as much. And so it'd be interesting to know what your son is,
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, because I was going to do that, and then somehow it fell through the cracks. So that's a good reminder.
Yeah,
it'd be good.
Cool. So as we round this off here, if you were talking to somebody that was entrepreneurial, they're looking at starting a business, and they stumbled across this thing, soft washing, what would you tell them about possibly joining the soft wash revolution with soft wash systems? What would be your encouragement to them?
People have reached out to me over the last couple of years, and they've asked me about soft washing and so forth. And the biggest thing that I tell them is, if you want to pursue a business of soft washing, you need to get a hold of Softwash Systems, because it's not just about how to spray a roof. It's not just about DOT regulations, which are important, and other people aren't talking about. It's not just about, how to use the right chemicals and the right amount of chemicals. There's all these other things that are important. But the biggest thing is the systems to run your business. And no other company do I know of that is offering these types of systems unless you buy into some type of franchise. And it's like, I've got friends that are in the business. I've encouraged them to try to get into soft wash systems. They don't see the value, just like I didn't at first. I didn't understand. And that's sad, because in reality, if you go with soft wash systems, you're going to learn the back end. You're going to take care of the motor. You're going to make sure that engine is rearing and ready to go. And so when you put that final touches and you get the body work done and that thing is sparkling, it's going to sound good too when it peels off, at the green light. And that, to me, is soft wash systems. Yeah.
More than just the surface. It's all the internal stuff that you don't think about, that you don't really want to have to think about or reinvent yourself. You just want it to go. And so, for sure.
That's right.
That's cool.
That's right. And back in the day, we had those Chilton's manuals.
Yes.
Remember those?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They still have them.
So every time I bought a car, I'd get one of those. Well, I don't buy one anymore, because I can't work on my cars. Right.
Yeah.
And it's not like having an old vehicle, but that's what Softwash Systems offers. They offer, here's the manual. Yeah. This is all you got to do right there. So appreciate those tools.
Awesome. Well, hey, man, thank you so much for this. I mean, I knew your podcast was going to take a little more of a twist, and I'm happy that you played along with me on that, because I think it's important to talk about that we have a kingdom mindset. You know what I'm saying? And there's other people who are going to be listening to this, that are going to be going through the different podcasts, and they're going to read the description on here. They're going to hear kingdom mindset, and it's going to speak to them. And that'll be a good thing. But I appreciate you coming on and playing along and having a great conversation. And, and I just appreciate you so much. It's been great to get to know you, especially more this past year that you've really, really engaged. It's been great.
Oh, thanks, AC. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's been great getting to know you and spend time with you and Karen. So thanks again. Thanks for everything you do for us.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, there we go. If you're thinking about getting into business or anything, we'd love to be able to tell you about soft washing with Softwash systems, and about how you can build your own lifestyle business. Getting into this crazy thing we call the cleaning industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and there's a lot of potential in it and a lot of opportunity for you to be able to support your family and all of your life's goals and dreams, like Jeremiah is doing here. So, as always, guys, I appreciate you all being here on Building the Lifestyle Business. I'm AC Lockyer, and as always, go forth and prosper.